Anno 2019 is to be a conference to remember. Join me in welcoming.
Hello and welcome to Kano, where the Nigerian Television Authority is bringing you live the opening ceremony of the annual general meeting of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, tax Kano 2019. It is also featuring annual conference, that is the National Engineering Conference, with the theme Building Resilient Infrastructure to Promote Sustainable Industrial Growth. The event is held here at the African Center in Kano. I am Abdullah Mustafa. You are welcome to the program.
Who is the Honorable Minister of Power? Honorable Minister, Mr. President, you're welcome, sir. Following that, respectfully, Governor of the Day, the man who has made it possible for us with all the support to be able to hold this in Kano, is no less a person than Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, OFR, the Executive Governor of Kano State. We can do better than that. Also here with us is our Crown Prince, Engineer Babagana Mohammed, FNSC Deputy President, with his lovely spouse, Mrs. Aisha Babagana. Let me quickly move on to pay special recognition to our past presidents. NSC holds its past president in high esteem. We have Engineer Ike Inua and his lovely spouse, Amina. Of course, Engineer Ife Akintunde, FNSC, Engineer Dr. E.S. Ujaman, FNSC, Engineer Dr. Olusegun Ajayi, FNSC, Engineer Charles Mbanefo, FNSC, Engineer Mustafa Balarabe Shehu, FNSC, Engineer Isaac Olorunfemi, FNSC, Engineer Habu Ahmed Gumel, FNSC, Engineer Chief Olumuyiwa Ajibola, FNSC, His Royal Highness Engineer Otis Igwe, you are welcome.
We introduce next the foreign delegates. The list of the foreign delegates are given to you. Yeah, this is it.
waste being generated in Kano, which is the commercial hub of northern Nigeria.
Institution of Engineers.
And
Can we welcome
it is
them?
expected that more than 5,000 delegates
We also have here
will elect new leaders of the society. And also, there was inauguration of an additional branch of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, which held in Wudil, seat of the Kano University of Science and Technology, making the number of branches in Kano 3.
engineers of Kenya. Also in our midst, Engineer Roslyn M. Ambassi, also from Kenya Institution of Engineers. Please, can we give them a proper round of applause? If you imagine where they come from, we can just do more than this. Thank you. Also in our midst, we have Engineer Professor Jonas Redwood Sawyer from the Institution of Engineers, Sierra Leone, always present with us. A round of applause, please. Engineer Ebenezer Azal, also from the Ghana Institution of Engineers. Please welcome him to our midst. Also with us is Engineer Philip K. Aheto from Ghana Institution of Engineers. You are welcome, sir. Engineer Martin Manua from the Federation of African Engineering Organization. That's the president. Can we give him a sound applause? I also have on the list here with me Engineer Leslie Alice Aye. Please, is the president. Please, can you give him a round of applause, please? In the program, we shall continue to recognize dignitaries and invited guests amongst us. And here. Let me also say that because the governor of Kano State, His Excellency, has graciously allowed us to use this place, not only that, he's also physically present.
Very sincere apologies for some of the mixed up and the fact that some of the lists are just arriving here. With very, very sincere apologies to the Honorable Minister of State for Science and Technology, Alhaji Mohammed H. Abdullahi, who is rightfully here. Honorable Minister, we sincerely apologize for that. That brings me to the earlier issue, much lighter note, which I mentioned. The toughest job of an MC is not being able to recognize everybody. But an MC can only function well if he is properly feeded, or if he is properly supplied with the right information and fed, as the case may be. Be that as it may, we would continue anchoring the program and would try to bring the best out of it. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me at this point in time invite, as my co-anchors said, the President of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer Adekunle Mokolo, FNSC, for his welcome address. While he delivers that, and then after that, we'll continue to make special recognitions for those who have not recognized before now. Thank you.
Let me remind all of us, senior members of the profession here, and indeed the junior ones, that if you look at the podium here, we have the mace here. That's an institution of authority. If we call the president and you are not recognizing him, I don't know what may happen. Please, can we recognize the president one more time? Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's such a very great day because this is the first occasion I'm seeing a professor of civil engineering being the compere and supported by a very accomplished mechanical engineer. So you can imagine civil and mechanical coming together to anchor a program like this. There will be some little bit of mistakes here and there. And I want to say I take full responsibility. And that is to say that by extension, when you see our political leaders, not being comfortable with what they're doing, and they take responsibility for it, I'm not feeling the heat that people like our of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR FNSC, who is ably represented here by one of our own, the Honorable Minister of Power, Engineer Saleh Maman, FNSC. May I respectfully welcome our host, the Executive Governor of Kano State, my great brother, the user of engineering knowledge and the provision of engineering infrastructure in Kano State, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, OFR. I need to sound a note, sir. You have about 4,000 engineers coming to Kano, and about 50% of them are impressed with the level of the delivery of infrastructure that has taken place in Kano State. They want land in Kano State now. So you should be ready to sign CFO in the next few months for these engineers who have decided to relocate to Kano. I equally welcome our special guests, the representatives of the Minister of Science and Technology and the Minister of State of Science and Technology. I will want to say our own because he has done so much in improving the lots of Nigerian engineers. Sir, the Minister of State, Science and Tech, I welcome you, sir. The other members of the Federal Executive Council and the members of the Kano State Executive Council here present, you are welcome. I respectfully welcome our royal fathers and the representative of the Serikin Kano, His Highness Muhammad Sanusi II. It is also my pleasure to welcome our colleagues, officials, and the Federation of African Engineering Organization and West African Federation of Engineering Organization, WFEO, led by their presidents. It's in this regard I want to recognize the president of FAEO, Engineer Martins Marwa, who is also past president of the Zimbabwe Institute of Engineering. Engineer, well, I would say His Royal Highness Engineer Otis ING, the president of WAFIO, that's the West African. I recognize you, sir. And the presidents of our various institutions in Africa. Engineer, the president of Ghana Institute of Engineering, Engineer Alex Ayu, a fellow of that institute, I recognize you, and Engineer Professor Sawyer of Sierra Leone Institute of Engineering. I particularly thank you for supporting Nigeria's candidature at the Justice concluded election of the 1919 General Assembly of the World Federation of Engineering Organization held in Melbourne, Australia, where our own past president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer Mustafa Balarabe Shehu Penesi, emerged as the executive vice president. I also recognize our revered past presidents that are present here, the executive committee members of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, my deputy president, starting with Engineer Babagana Mohammed, and all and members who come to this auspicious event. Our amiable spouses and other friends of engineers, we say welcome. Thank you for honoring our invitation. Ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to acknowledge our vibrant team engineers, especially our fellows and other senior members who have annually led our debates in our bid to chart a course for the development of our dear nation. The provision of functional critical infrastructure is imperative for the smooth running of economic activities, governance, comfort and well-being of our citizens. Therefore, we chose the theme of this year's conference to be Building Resilient Infrastructure to Promote Sustainable Industrial Growth. Resilience and sustainability are key words that are vital for infrastructure delivery. Therefore, a nation that truly desires accelerated growth and development must strive to achieve building resilient engineering infrastructure. The proceedings at this conference will, as always, focus on providing solutions to the infrastructure deficit challenge of our dear nation. Our concern for expeditious development and improvement of our infrastructure stock prompted us to commission our painstakingly researched on the state of our infrastructure. Our findings were published in the maiden edition of the Nigerian Infrastructure Report Card of 2015. A follow-up edition was published in 2017. The Nigerian Society of Engineers funded this project and did not seek for sponsorship from government or private organizations, just to ensure that the results are not influenced. Today, general assessment of the state of our infrastructure reveals that even though some efforts have been made by the present administration of President Muhammadu Buhari GCFR, a lot more work still needs to be done, especially on power and road sectors. Ladies and gentlemen, for that reason, we have decided to relaunch the 2019 edition of the Nigerian Infrastructure Report Card in order to further draw the attention of government and all stakeholders in the infrastructure delivery value chain to the reality of it. We do this because it is the responsibility of Nigerian engineers to ensure that our physical development is properly structured so that they are sustainable and respond efficiently to the use of which they have been procured. My dear members, that's honor fellows and members of great and noble the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Nigerians need us now, and we must respond to the great urgency to their call for help. The starting point is to deepen our commitment to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and the Presidential Executive Order 5, and recently the Executive Order 9, for accelerated development of our dear country. Let us start from the rural areas so that no Nigerian or part of Nigeria will be left behind. Our profession makes us the major custodian of the better life for Nigerians to guarantee merry hearts. To know that we know that hate speech cannot proceed from merry hearts. Our partnership and collaboration with all the other professional bodies and institutions in the built environment shall ensure rapid realization of merry hearts for all Nigerians. None shall be left behind is our mantra. None shall be left behind. There is need then to announce that the United Nations at its last General Assembly approved that henceforth March 4 every year shall be celebrated as Engineering Day for Sustainable Development. This is in recognition of the importance of engineering for realization of the Sustainable Development Goals and to increase the awareness of developing countries like Nigeria to take domestication and capacity building in engineering and engineering practice very serious. We cannot afford to be left behind among the Committee of Nations. The Nigerian engineers have sufficient body of engineering knowledge to provide all types of engineering infrastructure needed for merry hearts in Nigeria. Presently, Nigerian engineering professionals are migrating to already developed countries to be part of improvement and expansion of their engineering infrastructure because the Nigerian environment cannot make them thrive in their profession. There is hope for immediate reversal of this situation because our dear President to solve the problems of Nigeria's huge infrastructure deficit. There are roads in Nigeria still under construction in the last 20 years, which have outlived their value many times over. The effect that children that were born when the agreement for the construction of such roads were signed have become parents today. And some of them who drove on the same alignment of the road when this agreement was signed have become grandparents. Every project must build capacity both in knowledge and skills and must be completed on schedule to ensure maximum socio-economic benefits. This is what we can guarantee. This is what can guarantee sustainable development. Again, I thank all the regional and the national engineering bodies and associations that supported and voted for our own engineer Mustafa Balarabe Shehu NSC as the Executive Vice President of the World Federation of Engineering Organization. Our special guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Nigerian Society of Engineers shall continue to partner with government and all other stakeholders for the achievement of successes in our collective quest to build a virile and progressive nation. I hereby make a passionate appeal to all Nigerians, particularly our political leaders, to immediately join hands with the Nigerian engineers to develop our country and ensure that we provide first-class public infrastructure with facilities that will be the envy of other countries. It is then my singular honor before I conclude the speech to invite the representative of the President and Commander-in-Chief at this occasion, the Honorable Minister for Power, to please step forward for formal presentation of the document, which is the relaunching of the infrastructure scorecard. Afterwards, I will crave the indulgence of the other excellencies and dignitaries that are here to join us for a group photo before I complete my speech. Honorable Minister, sir. Excellency, sir. This actually is our infrastructure scorecard 2017. We produced it with millions of naira through a painstaking research. But we realized that the federal, the state, and the local government are not using it. So we now want to relaunch the 2017 edition to be the pathfinder for development of our country. We pray that all shall be well with Nigeria. Thank you very much as you support us in this regard. No, sir. Please, we need a photo shoot. Can I invite His Excellency the Governor and the Minister of State for Science and Tech and other dignitaries to please join us here for a photo shoot.
You need to give them for this. Yes.
My Deputy President, please.
Yes.
Thank you. No.
A round of applause for them as they go back to their seats, please. It is always said that knowledge acquire with a lot of pain and with a lot of commitment shall be of use to all Nigerians for better life, so that in the next few months, the next few years, it will not happen again that other countries will come through the back door, so to say that they are giving us loan in order to entrench themselves in the project execution of and development of our country. May I therefore once again welcome you all to this wonderful 2019 National Engineering Conference of the great and noble, the Nigerian Society of Engineers, holding in the beautiful city of Kano. I wish you all fruitful deliberations. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. God bless you all, and I thank you for your attention.
I understand you're going to honor you.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Because of our time, I think we need to fast forward things. Many times I've granted interviews to the extent that Nigerian journalists will be asking me, can Nigerian engineers deliver on road projects, for example, on road projects? And I always tell them that before independence and even shortly after independence, they have been delivering. But then, because of the political history that we have in Nigeria, a lot of things have gone amiss. I know that it's sometimes very painstaking to correct things that have gone in the direction. But there's no time that is too late to reverse a very bad trend. There is difference between the person who is tasting the soup and the person who is cooking the soup. We are supposed to cook, so to say, the infrastructure delivery in our country for better life for all Nigerians and for sustainable development. And the reason is not far-fetched. When we award contracts to those who are outside this country, without the Nigerian engineers being at the driver's seat for this physical development, what you find is one capital flight and unsustainable way of doing it. And that's the reason why, like I said in my speech, a road has been under construction for 20 years. And some of the people have changed their classes at the time the contract has awarded till now. We want to celebrate one of us who has now been celebrated at world level. And that is one of our past presidents, Engineer Mustafa Balarabe, past president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. He was overwhelmingly, with 3 other contestants from Europe, from the Americas, and Africa, he was overwhelmingly elected as executive vice president of the World Federation of Engineering Organization. We are going to read his citation. I want it to be abridged because of time. Because this man that you see I call him a little giant. He's so big, but what God did not give him in terms of size, he has given him in brain. Another thing about him is that he is like a deep river flowing with majestic silence. We'll read his speech and I'll present an award to him from the NSC, and then we'll present another award, and then we take it forward from there. Congratulations, Engineer Shehu. Go ahead.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished engineers, it's my pleasure to read the citation of this man who the president has just described as a gentle giant. Engineer Mustafa Balarabe Shehu is a homeboy born in Kano. He attended Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. This man has been in the practice of engineering for over 30 years. Kano here, with the Kano State Rural Electricity Board. You know, when you have people who are the go-go type, he did not spend too much time before he got out here to discover himself, discover engineering as a twin brother, and discover the practice of engineering as a wife. Madam, I'm very sorry. Engineer Mustafa Balarabe, having studied engineering and his accolade, even in the practice of engineering, grew with time. And at different times, he has held different positions. He is not only a registered member of COREN, he is also a member of the Consulting Engineers in Nigeria, a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, and also a fellow of the National Engineering Society in Nigeria. He has been president, Federation of African Organizations, between 2015 and 2016. He is chairman of several boards Finance, Strategy and Finance, Energy Committee. That's for the World Federation of Engineering Organizations, and he has been member of council for several years before he became the president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Engineer Mustafa Balarabe was always driven by the fact that he wanted to serve, and is never found wanting in positions of responsibility, especially where service is involved. Service to engineering, service to fatherland, service to Africa, and service to the world. Today we are celebrating him because he has, from this point, Kano, and I think the governor should be happy about this, he not only broke the ground in the state, he broke the ground in Nigeria, and he got to the reckoning in African setting. Now, he's represented us very well, so much that people around the globe sees that quality in him, and they have now entrusted him with the executive vice president position of World Federation of Engineering Organization. Please welcome Engineer Balarabe Shehu Musa, my president, sir.
Now, we're in Kano City. This is the first time that we are having an executive vice president of World Federation of Engineering Organization in Nigeria. And the person we are celebrating is a thoroughbred Kano man. So if anybody has asked, can anything good come out of Kano? We know that great things can come out of Kano. Today, Engineer Shehu is really an album of inspiration to us. There's one thing that has been left out in his citation. He is the chairman of the awards committee of the World Federation of Engineering Organization. And the people they put as chairman of that committee are those that have integrity. So when you talk about Nigerians, we are honest people. This is one of us. On that note, it is my singular honor and privilege to call on His Excellency, the representative of our own, the special guest of honor, the Minister of Power, to please step forward to help me give this award. And he will also be joined by His Excellency, the Executive Governor, and the Minister of State for Science and Tech. So let's come to celebrate this wonderful man. So, you may want to speak. You may want to speak. No, before you present it. You are the one that is going to present it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, on behalf of the President and Commander of Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, I present you this Thank you, President. Thank you. Your Excellency, the representative of the President and Commander-in-Chief of of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency, my own governor, Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, Governor of Kano State, my President, the President of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, fellows and members of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, this award really comes to me as a big surprise by the NSC President. My election to the position of the Vice President of the World Federation of Engineering Organizations is not really an honor to me, but an honor to Africa and to the Nigeria as a country. Because when the result came out, my colleagues from Africa were all overwhelmed and excited. So it is an honor, not only to us as Nigerians, but the whole of African continent. So my plea is that we continue giving support to the leadership of our institutions, the Nigerian Society of Engineers, we are here in Nigeria, and other institutions in Ghana, in Kenya, in Rwanda, in South Africa, and of course, the leadership of the Federation of African Engineering Organizations, who has made it possible to galvanize all the African engineering institutions together more than ever before. Because many years ago, we used to go to these conferences. This year, under the leadership of Engineer Martin Manoa and Engineer Julius Ringu, who took over the presidency of the Federation of African Engineering Organizations after me. Before we go to any global conference, we have to, set our own agenda and pursue it. So I'm very honored, Mr. President. I thank you very much. I thank the entire membership of the Nigerian Society of Engineers for giving me all this support as President of NSC and as President of the Federation of African Engineering Organizations. Of course, I now need more support to deliver as the Executive Vice President of the World Federation of Engineering Organizations. Thank you very much.
Well, to just quickly finish the awards, I'll call on His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano State, to please step forward. When we came into Kano, we realized that Kano has experienced a great leap in infrastructure development. And we heard that you used Nigerian engineers to deliver these projects. That was the information we got. So we want to celebrate you, sir. Please step forward, because we want to ensure that you will do more work in that regard. Because this place is where we can now know that we can ply our trade. It's for the award, not for speech. Not for speech yet. Sorry, sir. Okay. Yes, that's good. Your Excellency, knowing you from when I was in my 20s, I'm not surprised.
This is the network service of the NTA. We'll be joining our outside.
Good day. Thanks for
the special guest of honor, His Excellency, the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, former Head of State and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency, General Dr. Yakubu Gowon, Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, representatives of the governors of Kano and Zamfara State, Chairman, Senate and House Committee on Defense and Army, other distinguished and honorable members of the National Assembly here present, the Honorable Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Salih Magashi, retired.
good day and thanks for joining us here at the Kaduna International Trade Fair Complex, where the Chief of Army Staff Conference or Annual Conference is holding with the number one citizen of Nigeria attending, President Muhammadu Buhari, and other senior officers of the Nigerian Army also in attendance. It could be recalled that the last annual conference was scheduled for Benin and then subsequently moved to Borno State capital, Maiduguri, Borno State capital, where President Muhammadu Buhari also graced that occasion. And also in his speech, Mr. President commended the effort of the Nigerian Army in trying to dislodge the element of Boko Haram there, describing the movement of the annual conference to Borno State as a very thoughtful. The President also observed that the Northeast has become very peaceful, noting that the military effort in stabilizing the security situation there is very commendable. He's also here today attending the annual conference in Kaduna. We are going to look forward to his speech, which is very, very important to this occasion. Here, the Chief of Army, the Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff is also here. Lieutenant General Tukul Yusuf Burtai, the Chief of the Defense Staff, also in attendance. Senior Army officers and other security operators also in attendance. This platform, it's a platform where the Nigerian Army come together and then assess their performance through the year, and also try to make projections as to where they're heading to in the coming year. Let's me leave you with the proceedings right away, and subsequently we will come up with a commentary on what is going on at this conference. The Nigeria Television Authority, the largest network in Africa, will be here live and direct to give you every bit of details that happens here. My name is Abdullahi Mohammed. Stay tuned.
Please permit me to intimate you that this opening ceremony will be in two phases. The first is for what we are here for, the COAS annual conference proper, and the official opening ceremony which will be conducted in this hall, and the unveiling of the Edigu Emra outside this hall. We shall thereafter proceed to the second phase at the Nigerian Army Reference Hospital Kaduna for the prolific commissioning of the upgraded Nigerian Army Reference Hospital Kaduna. To start this important occasion, the Chief of Army Staff will soon deliver his welcome address. May I, at this juncture, most respectfully invite Lieutenant General Tukurisu Buratai, Chief of Army Staff. Please come forward and deliver his welcome address. The Chief of Army Staff, sir.
Excellency, sir, let me say that, Your Excellency, this is the third consecutive times you've been attending the Chief of Army Staff's annual conference. We are most grateful, sir. The special guest of honor, His Excellency, President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasiru Ahmad El-Rufai, our host, the former head of state and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, His Excellency General Yakubu Gowon, the representatives of Kano and Zamfara State government, the chairman, Senate Committee on the Nigerian Army, Senator Alin Dume, the chairman, House Committee on Nigerian Army, Honorable Abdurrahman Namdas, other distinguished and honorable members of the National Assembly here present, and of course, members of the Kaduna State House of Assembly here present, our own, the Honorable Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Salihi Magashi, retired, I.E. Ibas, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, the former Chiefs of Defense Staff and former Chiefs of Army Staff here present, namely General Emil Agwai, Major A.J. Kazir, Lieutenant General A.B. Dambazau, Lieutenant General O.A. Ihejirika, and Lieutenant General K.T.J. Minima. The Chief of Defense Intelligence, the Inspector General Police here ably represented, the Commander Multinational Joint Task Force and other commanders of the various military operations, especially Commander Operation Lafia Dole, who is here with us, the Commander Training and Doctrine Command, Commandant of the Nigerian Defense Academy and other commandants' headquarters, co-commanders, general officers commanding the Director General Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria and other directors generals here present, commandants of tri-service and Nigerian Army institutions, especially the acting Vice Chancellor, Nigerian Army University, BU, Professor Fatima Tahir, heads of security and paramilitary agencies here present, our royal fathers, the National President of the Nigerian Army Officers' Wife Association, my darling wife, Mrs. Umar Kalsum Tukur Buratai, very senior military officers, both serving and retired, members of the academia. We have the complete Nigerian Army University Governing Council in our midst today. Captains of industries, distinguished invited guests, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed my pleasure and on behalf of officers and soldiers of Nigerian Army to heartily and most respectfully welcome Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari. I also welcome all other distinguished personalities here present today. Mr. President, sir, we are indeed most grateful for honoring us with your esteemed presence at this opening ceremony of the Chief of Army Staff's Annual Conference 2019. It is gladdening to recall that the transformation of the Nigerian Army to its current status commenced immediately Mr. President was sworn in for his first term of office in 2015. The presidential directive was to evolve a professional, well-respected, highly motivated, and people-centric Nigerian Army that will have the requisite capability and capacity to respond adequately in a timely manner to solve myriad of temporary and future security threats. Thus, I couch my vision in line with this directive to have a professionally responsive Nigerian Army in the discharge of its constitutional roles. Currently, this vision has been greatly accomplished through the monumental and immeasurable support the Nigerian Army has received from Mr. President, which goes across the entire spectrum of military affairs. We are thus gathered here today and throughout this week to evaluate and appraise our activities and efforts so far towards achieving the overall objective of better positioning the Nigerian Army to face the tasks ahead in the year 2020 and beyond. Importantly, we are delighted to showcase to Mr. President our innovative and inventive products so far achieved through robust research and development efforts in the drive towards building our own military-industrial complex. Mr. President, sir, we are indeed honored and delighted to have you in our midst to unveil the Ezugu MRAP, which is an entirely indigenous production effort from start to finish, and also the 4 hospital in Nigeria that will cater for the medical needs of our troops and other citizens alike. These 2 projects will no doubt save significant foreign exchange for the country, which could be used for other developmental purposes. Your Excellency, may I request 2 minutes for a short video clip on the versatility of the Ezugu MRAP. If it is ready, can you please get the video quickly?
To ensure that the MRAP meets the operational requirement of the Nigerian Army, this homemade armored fighting vehicle was tested in different terrain in the theater of operations in Maiduguri and has been given a nod to be a game changer in the theater of operations.
MRAP is efficient and rugged for the terrain, and it provides the requisite protection needed for troops in Operation National.
Presence of this MRAP, we pose a very great threat to our adversaries or any nefarious element within our area of operation.
The MRAP has been tested and proven to protect troops under attack.
We have a game changer and something that will be a force multiplier in our hand. So I'm encouraging appropriate superior authorities to send us as many as possible, weaponize them and use them to further our operation and end this counterinsurgency quickly.
The feat achieved in producing an indigenous fighting vehicle led to a contractual signing between the Nigerian Army, DICON and CED to produce 28 units of the MRAP.
On behalf of the Chief of Army Staff, I'm handing over a duly signed contract agreement between the Nigerian Army and DICON to mass produce a Ezugu, the MRAP, for Nigeria and Nigerian Army.
Ezugu will be unveiled 3rd of December 2019 by the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Muhammadu Buhari. According to Victor Hugo, no force can stop an idea whose time has come. Today, This idea, backed up with determination and resilience, has become a reality, with its outcome expected to change the complexity in the fight against insurgency in the Northeast.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, Excellency, Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, it's a good news for the Governor Kaduna State that this MRAP was also tested in Birnin Gwari area. Within the period under review, the Nigerian Army embarked on massive infrastructural development, force restructuring in line with the approved Nigerian Army Order of Battle 2016, conducted several local and overseas training, carried out various operations, as well as optimized logistical support, amongst others. We also have evolved seamless administrative measures and improved tremendously on welfare packages, as approved to us by Mr. President, to boost the morale of troops across the nation. Additionally, we have intensified our civil-military relations efforts and improved on our media relations, as well as imbibe the best global practices in the conduct of our operations in line with the principles of the laws of armed conflict, as well as promotion and respect for fundamental human rights of all. All these efforts constitute the cutting edge of Nigerian Army, which are being employed to tackle the array of contemporary security challenges. Your Excellency, at this juncture, permit me to reaffirm the commitment and resolve of Nigerian Army. Mr. President, sir, on behalf of officers and soldiers of Nigerian Army, I want to use this opportunity to thank you immensely for your unquantifiable support to the Nigerian Army in our quest to create the Nigerian Army of the future. We are forever grateful on this. On this note, I want to once again welcome Mr. President and other dignitaries to this opening ceremony of the Chief of Army Staff's Annual Conference 2019. I want to humbly reassure Mr. President of our unalloyed loyalty and respect to the Constitution. Thank you, sir, and God bless.
Please, shall we give another round of applause to the Chief of Army Staff? Chief of Army Staff, sir, thank you very much for that memorable address. May I, at this moment, invite the Honorable Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Salih Magashi, retired CFR, MON, MNI, to please come forward and present his remarks. The Honorable Minister, sir.
To do the special guest of honor, sir, President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasiru Ahmed El-Rufai, the Chief Host, the former Head of State and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency General Yakubu Gowon, GCFR. The representatives of the governors of Kano and Zamfara State, the chairman, Senate and House Committee on the Army, other distinguished and honorable members of the National Assembly here present, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of Naval Staff, the Chief of Air Staff, the former Chiefs of Defense and Army Staff here present, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the Inspector General of Police here being represented, the Commander of Multinational Joint Task Force, and other commanders of various military operations, the Commander, Training and Doctorate Command, Commandant, Nigerian Defense Academy, Principal Staff Officers from the Defense and Service Headquarters, Co-Commanders, General Officers Commanding, Director General Defense Industrial Corporation of Nigeria, and other Director Generals here present, Commandants of Trial Service and Nigerian Army institutions, representatives of heads of security and paramilitary agencies here present, our royal fathers, the national presidents of the Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association, and other members present. Very senior officers, both serving and retired, members of the academia, captains of industries, distinguished invitees, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I want to use this opportunity to congratulate the Chief of Army Staff, officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army for having had a successful training operational year. I saw and I have been briefed by the Chief of Army Staff on the operational states of the Nigerian Army. I am now better informed what is needed to be. The Nigerian Army has had a hectic year, which a lot of operations have been conducted to secure the territorial integrity of Nigeria. Thus, there is a need for a review of the activities during this annual conference to prepare for the next year's final onslaught on Boko Haram. I want to assure you that as your minister, under the support of the President, that all challenges of operational, logistics, and administrative support will be addressed to further reposition the Nigerian Army to the next level. I want to see this opportunity to commend your sacrifices and commitment to the service of this great nation. It is my belief that the Nigerian Army will remain the bastion of the national unity, and we must therefore continue to remain a political, professional, and committed to support the democratic governance in Nigeria. However, in the course of our operational duties, some of your colleagues have made the supreme sacrifices, while some others were wounded in action with various degrees of disability. I assure you, we are committed to ensuring that those who have died will be remembered and their loved ones be catered for, while those wounded in action will continue to receive the best medical attention and well rehabilitated. On this note, I want to thank Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for his continuous support to the Nigerian Army and indeed the Nigerian Armed Forces. Let me remind us all of our continuous loyalty to the Commander-in-Chief as we position ourselves for greater commitment to the service of our fatherland. I wish the Chief of Army Staff and all participants a successful, fruitful deliberation during this 2019 annual conference. Thank you all, and God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. The Honorable Minister for Defense, Major General Bashir Salih Magashi, please shall we give him another round of applause for that wonderful goodwill message. Our special guest of honor, sir, senior officers, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to listen to the goodwill message of our host, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir Ahmed Arufai. Your Excellency, please.
Your Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, our leader and mentor, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, Your Excellency, former Head of State, General Yakubu Gowon, Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Kaduna State, the only female Deputy Governor in Northern Nigeria, Dr. Hadiza Balarabe, the Honorable Minister of Defense, Chairman Senate Committee on Army, Chairman House Committee on Army, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to shorten the protocol. It is with great pleasure that I present this goodwill message at the Chief of Army Staff Annual Conference 2019. I'm highly elated that Kaduna State was chosen as the host location for this conference, bearing in mind the historical importance of Kaduna in the history of the Nigerian Army. We are privileged as Kaduna State to play host to several military formations, units, schools, and establishments. Over the decades, the presence of these military institutions has greatly benefited our state and fostered synergy between the Army and the good people of our state. We are proud of the leadership of the Nigerian Army for evolving a purposeful and professional-driven course of action in transforming the Army into a formidable force capable of discharging its constitutional responsibilities, and evolving challenges have greatly assisted in maintaining peace in Kaduna State and indeed in most of Nigeria for the dividends of democracy to be fed by our people. Specifically, here in Kaduna State, Your Excellency, Mr. President, the Chief of Army Staff, we cannot forget the role the Nigerian Army has played in encouraging and sustaining peace and security in the state, and I will just mention 4 of them in the last 4 years. The first is that the Nigerian Army helped restore peace and stability in the southern Kaduna Senatorial District by the establishment of Forward Operation Base in that area. Number 2, the Army helped in no small way in decimating the capacity of cattle rustlers and kidnappers operating in this state and in surrounding states. Number 3, the Army played a leading role in confronting the menace of the outlawed El Zakzaki movement, which had been oppressing the people of Zaria and environs for the past 30 years. And number four, various corporate social responsibility interventions by the Army, including medical outreaches and infrastructural interventions like construction of access roads and river crossings, have greatly helped the state government and brought peace and understanding between communities. For this and many others, Mr. President, the government and people of Kaduna State are very grateful to the Nigerian Army. These several military-civil coordination activities have also been undertaken with the intention of winning the hearts and minds of the people, and we highly appreciate those as well. We as a people are also appreciative of the innovative and infrastructural investments undertaken by the Army, which by extension benefits our people by providing jobs and enabling the development of sectoral clusters like automotive manufacturing and garmenting, with DICON as the nucleus. Mr. President, sir, as you are aware, the assembly of automotive vehicles for the use of the Army has begun in Kaduna. But in addition to the Pujo automobile assembly plant here, there is a new vehicle assembly plant being put up by a joint venture of Dangote and Pujo to produce trucks, SUVs, and other vehicles. With these three automobile manufacturing plants in Kaduna, we are gradually creating an automotive cluster here, and the Army has helped in cementing that. Again, we are grateful. DICON is also starting the production of garments for the Nigerian Armed Forces, paramilitary agencies, and around this activity, Mr. President, we are establishing a cluster for garmenting that will produce not only military and paramilitary uniforms, but also civilian clothing, domestic consumption and export. Again, the Army is the nucleus for this effort, but we are going to take advantage of it and expand it further, and we are very grateful to the Army for being that catalyst for development. Finally, Mr. President, the commissioning today of an indigenous-built platform and ultra-modern level 4 hospital that is comparable to any hospital of its status in the world today is a feat that must be applauded. I wish to pay tribute to the former chiefs of Army staff, some of them seated here, that initiated the upgrade of 44 Reference Hospital, and General Borotai, the current chief of Army staff, for bringing this project to the level of commissioning today. As a government, we'll continue to partner with the Nigerian Army and render our support for the conduct of your activities in addressing the issues of security and welfare of our society. We hope that officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army, both serving and retired, will borrow a leaf from Mr. President and looking forward to receiving him here on the 29th of May 2023 by the grace of God. I am surprised that General Yakubu Gawan has not come back home. So in this regards, please, I'm appealing to all the officers here to please apply for land in Kaduna, and we'll give you priority in allocation. Kaduna State and indeed Nigeria continue to appreciate your selfless sacrifice to the nation. On behalf of the grateful people of Kaduna State, I welcome you all to Kaduna. Your effort towards having a professionally responsive Nigerian Army in the discharge of his constitutional role are highly appreciated. We congratulate the Chief of Army Staff for the start of this conference. We wish you successful deliberation at this Chief of Army Staff Annual Conference 2019. Thank you for listening. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Chief Host Governor Nasir El-Rufai. Please, shall we give him a resounding applause once again? Our special guests of honor, sir, very senior officers, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. With the goodwill message by His Excellency, the Governor of Kaduna State, I once again have the honor and privilege to announce that it is now time. It is now the historic moment, the time to listen attentively to the keynote address by the special guest of honor, the President Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. It is therefore my singular honor to request the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukuri Subaratai, to most respectfully and dutifully invite Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief, President Muhammadu Buhari, to please deliver his keynote address. The Chief of Army Staff, sir.
No, please sit down. Please remain seated. Please sit down. Your Excellency, General Yakubu, the former head of state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Your Excellency, the Governor of Kaduna State, members of the National Assembly present here, Honorable Minister of Defense, and other ministers present here, the Chief of Defense Staff and Service Chiefs, former Service Chiefs, Chief of Defense Intelligence, and other heads of security, the agencies and senior officers, both serving and retired, and the royal fathers, members of academia, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to be with you for this opening ceremony of Chief of Army Staff Conference 2019. This conference serves as a platform for strategic leaders and operational commanders to appraise, assess, and evaluate the Army's activities for their 2019, as well as make projections for improved engagements in 2020 and beyond. This kind of periodic self-assessment is being sustained because it is critical for the professional development of the Nigerian Army. One of the cardinal pillars of our government is the provision of security. Accordingly, inventive ventures to become an army to be proud of in the future by all Nigerians. There is no doubt that a lot has been achieved by our army since my assumption of office as the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. This administration has continued to provide resources to carry out transformational projects with the sole aim of modernizing the Army to be better positioned to perform its constitutional roles. In this regard, it is pertinent to acknowledge the establishment of the Army University in Biu, the Army Resource Center, and the Army War College to further boost intellectual capacity in the forces. Furthermore, the establishment of the Army Special Corps, the Army Cyber Warfare Command, 50 Space Command, and the Land Forces Simulation Center are laudable efforts at repositioning the Army to address emerging and future threats to our national security. I note the collaborative efforts of the Command Engineering Depot with relevant indigenous organizations to promote local content towards developing our military industrial complex. I am glad that the production of the Uzugu mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles, which I will be unveiling today, will join the infantry patrol vehicles that were earlier produced as testimony that our efforts are yielding positive results. Additionally, your efforts in terms of capacity building, training, and conduct of exercises are quite commendable. I am aware that there are ongoing field exercises such as Atilogu UDO-1, exercise IAM, Akpatuma 2, and exercise Crocodile Smile 4, among other civil military cooperation activities. These are impressive efforts geared at enhancing operational efficiency of the Army, as well as facilitate conducive security environment for socio-economic activities to thrive. I found the theme of this year's Chief of Army Staff Conference, which is, I quote, application of the cutting edge of the Nigerian Army in tackling contemporary security challenges, unquote, aptly captured to address the purpose of the conference. This government is not aware that the achievements of the Army came with associated costs. Many personnel have lost their lives. Some have sustained injuries, and a significant number have been away from their families for a long time. I once again send my condolences to the families of those who have paid the supreme sacrifice in an effort to safeguard the sovereignty of our great nation. May their souls rest in perfect peace. Amen. I urge our soldiers to continue to abide by their ethics and ethos and keep to the rules of engagement and code of conduct while ensuring that human rights and international humanitarian laws are promoted and respected in the conduct of military operations. I salute the courage and the gallant efforts of the personnel of the Nigerian Army. I am highly impressed with the conduct of operations that continue to flesh out execution of the super camp concept in the Operation Lafia Dole theater have maintained the momentum against terrorists. I urge you to sustain this great effort. Let me, at this point, reiterate our government's resolve to do everything within its constitutional power to ensure the security and safety of law-abiding citizens. This is a commitment we have made and will continue to keep. At this juncture, I wish to commend the Chief of Army Staff for his laudable efforts at transforming the Nigerian Army. He has keyed into the federal government change agenda, and I particularly commend his thrust in the critical areas such as innovative and inventive approach to producing military hardware, infrastructural development, restructuring, and reorganization, among others, with significant results, particularly in the ongoing counter-insurgency operations and other operations across the country. This government will continue to support the Army to sustain these laudable initiatives aimed at repositioning you to deal with contemporary security challenges and to achieve a modern army of the future. For members of the armed forces, I want to reiterate government's commitment to your welfare. We are aware of some of the challenges, particularly in the areas of training, manpower, and barracks infrastructure. We will continue to do all within available resources to provide for your operational and welfare needs, particularly in the area of healthcare for your personnel and their families. I am therefore delighted that later this afternoon I will be commissioning the new block recently completed, equipped and furnished in the 44 Reference Hospital here in Kaduna, which would not only provide excellent medical services to our troops, but could also serve the needs of United Nations personnel as a level 4 hospital. I commend the Chief of Army Staff and his predecessors who initiated, continued, and complete this project. I have gone through conference program, and it is my belief that the conference would generate new strategies and concepts that would enhance sustainable peace in the country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to formally declare the Chief of Army Staff Annual Conference 2019 open. I thank you all, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
That was the address by His Excellency President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. Please shall we give him highly resounding applause. The special guests of honor, sir, senior officers, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. An important and rare occasion such as this, where Mr. President Commander-in-Chief is physically present, such occasion cannot be. Please make a presentation to the special guest of honor, the President and Commander-in-Chief, President Muhammadu Buhari, the Chief of Army Staff, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, for that commendation. At this point, our special guest of honor, senior officers, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. The next item on this segment of our program is the group photograph. This would be followed by the unveiling and commission of our own very indigenous effort at mitigating the challenge of military hardware production. At this point, special guest of honor, another very special guest, should please remain seated until invited to join us all outside for the group photograph and unveiling ceremony. Shall we, at this point, rise for the national anthem, please? Soon the special guest of honor will join you for group photograph, please.
And now it is time for a group photograph with a special guest of honor, President Muhammadu Buhari. The theme of this year's COAS conference, application of cutting edge of the Nigerian Army in tackling contemporary challenges. I would like to go back and hint you some of the aspect of the speech of Mr. President, which I noted here. That he talked about, first of all, he made emphasis on how his administration prioritized security. Mr. President also in his speech talked about the establishment of the Army University and several other efforts made by his administration in repositioning the Nigerian Army, which he said is a pointer to the commitment of his administration to developing the capacity of the army to ensure that it executes one of the cardinal agenda of the administration, thus ensuring that there's security of lives and property in every part of the country. President Muhammad Buhari also noted the various exercises being conducted by the Nigerian army to keep peace in several parts of the country with commendations. He also condoled the families of those who paid the supreme price in the fight against insurgency. He emphasized that his administration will continue to support the army in ensuring that the family of those that have been left behind will be catered for effectively. He called on the Nigerian military to respect the rules of engagement in the fight against insurgency. He praised the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Yusuf Tukur Buratai, for keying into the change mantra, and he reiterated his commitment to supporting the Nigerian military in every aspect to succeed. He never left the podium before charging participants of the conference to come up with strategies to ensure that they succeed in all their endeavor. And right now, Mr. President has left the main venue of the event and at the exhibition center just by the side of the venue of the event here at the Kaduna International Trade Fair Complex, and he will at that place commission the about 6 indigenously produced anti-mines machines, which is produced by a unit of the Nigerian Army. There you can see it being displayed. In a moment, he's going to commission them today. Apart from those machines, which the head of that engineering unit called a variant of mines resistance ambush protected vehicles, solely produced in Nigeria by the intelligent officer. He was explaining to us the main function of these vehicles that you're seeing being displayed. They are specially made to confront element of insurgents in every part of this country, especially those in places like the Northeast. As it is called, a variant of mines resistance ambush protected vehicles. It is a vehicle that is anti-mines and protects all security agents that will use them against insurgents. Earlier on, you saw the 2-minute clip which was transmitted during the presentation speech of the Chief of Army Staff, where the functions of all these vehicles were presented. Apart from these 6 anti-mines vehicles, there are a lot of other very important machines that have been produced by intelligent officers and men of the Nigerian army, like just this one that you're seeing here, fabricated mobile borehole drilling machine, which can provide water for the military in the theater of operations. It is also produced by the Nigerian army, solely produced here without any kind of help from outside of the four corners of this country. Here again, we also know that feeding is very essential for those in the theater of operations, and here another kind of machine which uses solar energy to cook food for the Nigerian army while in operation. We know how important that is for them when they are in the theater of operation. We're still at the exhibition center there, where Mr. President is going from one table or to the other to take a look at so many machines that are produced by the Nigerian army. And here one of the machines being demonstrated here. Mr. President, as he said in his speech, he is very happy with the performance of the Chief of Army Staff, and then you're seeing it there clearly that a lot of things have been produced by the army, and that means they are trying to be self-reliant, especially in terms of equipment that will keep them in high spirit, especially in the field of operation. And one very important thing that I've seen here is the fact that in building all these machineries, the engineers of the Nigerian army utilize solar energy. You can see from all the vehicles that have been displayed, most of them use solar energy. And again, the tag that you've seen, the Chief of Army Staff annual conference with a team utilizing cutting edge in tackling contemporary challenges. And there we see it on display that indeed they are keen into that and ensuring that they manufacture all those things themselves without relying on import of those things. And this is to tell you that all the kind of commendations that they received from Mr. President today didn't just come like that. It is as a result of the unwavering commitment that the Nigerian Army, under the current Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Yusuf Tukur Buratai, put to ensure that they become self-reliant. And as Mr. President said earlier, that they are keen into the change mantra, which he said one of the cardinal focus of that is providing security. You can see there again been displayed a kind of a machine gun boat. It is produced by the Nigerian Army. Here again, pictures of men of the Nigerian Army who participated or come up with ideas for the development of all these machines that you see, especially this one. And there's been displayed is a kind of a water pumping machine, which of course can be used by the Nigerian Army, especially in the field of operation. Once again, a mobile dental clinic there. A product of the Nigerian Army, standing tall there. These are all the effort put by the Nigerian Army that has been attracting a lot of commendation, not only from the President. Again here, another kind of convenience for the Army while in the operational theater. And there you go, an aerial surveillance, a prototype there. It is not a Panchito. Of course, in reality it's out there. And here again, Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari performing the commissioning machines there, which they call Ezogu, a variant of the mines resistance ambush protected vehicle there. The commissioning done. Mr. President will continue to take a look at the variety of machines there produced by the Nigerian Army, and from one point to the other he's been offered explanation on the use of the machines, especially these 6 variants of mines resistance ambush protected vehicle, which will be very, very useful in the fight against insurgency. We all know that the remnant of the element of insurgent have gone into hiding, and what they are using now is explosive devices, and with machines like this one, we can see over there Mr. President stepping into one of the anti-mines ambush protected vehicle there to assess the machine and then find out how it works. President Muhammad Buhari, the #1 citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is in there. He must be a very happy man today, seeing the kind of revolution that is taking place. The Nigerian army, which is led by the current Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Yusuf Tukur Buratai, who is also very, very passionate about ensuring that ideas presented before him are turned into reality, just like these ones that we're seeing today. There were ideas in the minds of many of the men and officers of the Nigerian army, put into papers. Today it has become a reality, and #1 citizen of Nigeria, President Muhammad Buhari, is commissioning it here today at the ground of the Kaduna International Trade Fair Complex here this very afternoon. And he's coming out of one of the Ezegu, the 6 Ezegu that have been displayed here. Mr. President coming out there, and then followed by the Minister of Defense also coming out there. Members of, the Governor of Kaduna State, the Mala Nasser Ahmed Erufai, and members of the committee from the Senate, and other senior officers of the Nigerian army there. Again, there are some of this one, an area surveillance machine there, a product of the Nigerian army. Right now, Mr. President is inspecting a lot of other ingenuities become reality today, and all these things you've seen is a result of the commitment of the Chief of Army Staff to ensure that he gives equal opportunity to his men or officers who have ideas and are willing to develop. The Nigerian army provides them the enabling environment to kind of realize their dreams. Someone out there in the Nigerian army was having, what we're seeing there as a dream. But today, it is being actualized. He has seen his dream or her dream come true, courtesy of a very good leadership of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai. And again, there been displayed is another section of the Nigerian Army where the boats been locally produced. Again, a commitment to ensuring that Nigeria does not take her hard-earned reserves to import all these things that you've seen being displayed there. This is no doubt a good leadership in action. President Muhammad Buhari is still being led through the exhibition of a series of machines produced by the Nigerian Army there from one point to the other. He's seen them one after the other, and then explanations as to the functions of those machines being offered to him, just like we're seeing on the screen there, being kind of explanation there of the function of that machine. Again, moving back to the exhibition center just by the side of the venue of the event, where we have just finished listening to a very important speech from number one citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, full of commendation to the Nigerian Army for ensuring that peace returns to the troubling spots across the country. And here again, it is still part of the Nigerian Army School of Public Relations and Information, also trying to display what they know best. Mr. President will leave here the Kaduna International Trade Fair Complex to the middle of, central city of Kaduna, to unveil the upgraded 44 reference hospital in the middle of Kaduna. And here we're seeing the helping hands extended by the Nigerian Army to the Public Relations Department of the Nigerian Army. Well, I would like to say thank you very much for being part of this transmission, which came to you live from the Kaduna International Trade Fair Complex, where Mr. President came and then delivered a very insightful speech. The Governor of Kaduna State, the Chief of Army Staff himself, Chief of Defense Staff, that of the Air Force and the Navy, all in attendance. I would like to thank you very much for being part of the transmission.
Let's come to celebrate this wonderful man. So, you may want to speak. You may want to speak. No, listen, before you present it. You are the one that is going to present it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So on behalf of the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, I present to you this program.
Thank you.
Thank you. The Possibility Award. Thank you very much. Thank you. Your Excellency, the representative of the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency, my own Governor, Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, Governor of Kano State, my President, the President of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, fellows and members of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, this award really comes to me as a big surprise by the NSC President. My election to the position of the Vice President of the World Federation of Engineering Organizations is not really an honor to me, but an honor to Africa and to the Nigeria as a country. Because when the result came out, my colleagues from Africa were all overwhelmed and excited. So it is an honor, not only to us as Nigerians, but the whole of African continent. So my plea is that we continue giving support